Shalom, all praise to Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, double lines to the apostles of GMS. This is I'm Noah Allah coming at you with another video. And in this video, I'm going to focus on, touch briefly on the topic of, material objects. You know what I'm saying? Material things. Because, it's nothing, some brothers are going to be in better situations than other brothers financially. Some brothers are going to have certain types of materialistic possessions. Nice car, nice place, jewelry, clothes, whatever it may be. What it is that though those it's just an inanimate object, you gotta watch yourself. You gotta examine yourself and ask yourself, are you really looking at these things as material objects, or are you looking at these things that make you? Because that's a problem that you can have in the flesh. You can place too much of a significance on material things, which really, in the eyes of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, has no value. Because this is a spiritual thing. So let's get right to these scriptures. Matthew chapter 6, verse 19. Lay not up for yourselves treasures upon earth, where moth and rust doeth corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal. So when you have treasures on earth, moth and rust can corrupt those treasures. Your garments can become moth-eaten. The moth can eat up the fabric. Rust can corrupt it. So if you have jewelry, it can become corrupt. So we're not to lay up, let's go to the word lay up. Go to the word lay.
Strong's G 2343. Thesarizo.
To gather and lay up. Jump right down to the point. There you go. So to live from day to day as to increase either the bitterness or the happiness of one's consequent lot. So to accumulate, in this instance, it's talking about to accumulate riches, to keep in store up reserve. So we're not to store up these things. Because a person that's storing up these things is a person whose mind, whose heart meaning whose mind is fixated upon these things. They place great value. So Yahushua is saying, don't lay not up for yourselves treasures upon the earth. That's an earthly treasure. Clothing, articles of clothing, jewelry, and whatever other materialistic possessions. Those are earthly treasures, where moth and rust does corrupt. So those things can become corrupted. Your car can rust, your clothes can rust. Your cars can rust, your jewelry can rust. It needs to be clean. Your garments can become moth-eaten. Moths can eat your garment up. And where thieves break through and steal. So that's talking about possessions you have on this earth where a thief can break through and steal it. So it may not just be like clothes, jewelry. It could be anything. It's just saying in general, any earthly treasure where moth and rust do corrupt and where thieves break through and steal. Whatever it may be. It can be, your basketball card collection, baseball card collection, whatever it may be. A thief can break through and steal that. So these things are all temporary. They don't really have, they don't have any value in the eyes of the Most High. Okay? But lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven. Rather, we ought to lay up for ourselves treasures in heaven. See? Which are what? The treasures in heaven are the righteous acts and deeds that we do on earth, that's being stored or recorded in heaven, in which we'll receive a reward for. So faith, kindness, charity, which is brotherly love, doing the work of the Lord, patience. These are all various, like the fruits of the Spirit that you can find in the book of Galatians. These are all examples of treasures in heaven. So those are the acts. So we aren't storing treasures on earth. We're storing treasures in heaven. And we store treasures in heaven based upon the righteous acts that we are doing on the earth that is being stored or taken account of in heaven, whereby we receive a reward. And that reward would be what? Our deliverance, our salvation. But lay for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust doth corrupt. There's no moth and rust going in heaven. Those deeds are not going to become corrupted. They're not going to become they're not going to deteriorate. And where thieves do not break through or steal. That's self-explanatory. You can't break through and steal those type of goods. It's impossible. You can't go to heaven and steal that. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. So whatever it is that you treasure, whatever it is you have hold in high esteem, whatever your treasure is, there will your heart be also. There will your heart or there will your mind be fixated upon. There will you focus on. So it's not all about trying to look good. Like, that's not what this thing is about. Because, you got these other camp with their flashy garments and this and that. I mean, all the different materialistic possessions. That's not what this thing is about. That's not what this thing is about. You got guys out there that's not even, you got guys in the camp, they just niggas, man. They niggas. Straight up niggas, man. Niggas with Bibles. Some of these guys, I'm pretty sure, probably got social media pages, showing off money, showing off jewelry, acting like a bunch of goddamn niggas, man. But they'll come to camp and teach the Bible like they men of the Lord. And through the spirit of Yahweh Shem Shah, if you got the spirit of discernment, you can see through that, man. You could just look at a guy and the Most High will show you what kind of person he is. I'm just keeping it all the way real. This is the book of 1 Timothy, chapter 6, verse 5. Perverse disputings of men of corrupt minds and destitute of the truth, supposing that gain is godliness. So those people suppose that gain is godliness. From such withdraw thyself. You got to withdraw ourselves from those people, man. They think that material wealth is godliness. Look at these churches. Oh, God gave me a car, and God gave me this, God gave me that. Most High didn't give you that. Satan gave you that, man. Satan gave you that. He gave you that materialistic possession so that you could heap it upon your lust. And now that's a materialistic possession that you have, that you hold in such a high regard, and you don't really even value the Most High. These people don't want spiritual things. They want earthly things. Even guys that call themselves Israelites, call themselves prophets. That's not what this thing is about. If you a brother out there, you claim to be in the truth, and you on the internet showing off money and showing off your expensive shoes and jewelry and all of that, you ain't right. That's a sign of a dude that's in the world. You're really in this thing, and it's only a matter of time till the Most High get rid of you, man. But godliness with contentment is great gain. Look at the word contentment. See what contentment means.
Strong's G 841. Austarkaya.
A perfect condition of life in which no aid or support is needed. Sufficiency of the necessities of life. A mind contented with its lot. Contentment. Another word for contentment is like happiness. Yeah, see? Contentment, a state of peaceful happiness and satisfaction, often described as a feeling of quiet joy and serenity. But it's an example. See? And it says, it's a deeper, more enduring feeling than happiness, which can be more fleeting and related to specific events. Contentment is often associated with gratitude, acceptance, and a sense of wholeness. So godliness with contentment is great gain because it makes you whole, complete, because all you need is Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Seek the Lord first, and all the things will be added unto you, right? So ultimately, all we need is the Most High. And through Yahweh Shem Yahushua, whatever He decides to give us, we will receive. Now, someone say, yeah, and that's that car, that's that jewelry, that's this, that's that, and the other. But for you to even think like that shows that your mind ain't even right. Because you're looking for any reason to value material things. The Most High don't care about that. The Most High really doesn't care about that. It means nothing to Yahweh Shem Yahushua. So godliness with contentment is great gain. Not gain of material things. Things that become that moth and rust do corrupt. No. And the things that thieves can break through and steal. No, but godliness with contentment is great gain. That's what's great gain, because the Most High will give you all things greater than that, which are things that are spiritual. But now, what is it that you really value? Do you value the spiritual things, or do you value the earthly things? A lot of y'all guys that y'all value the earthly things, man. It's only but so long You could fake that funk. You could fool man, but you can't fool Yahweh Bashim Yahshua. You can't fool Yahweh Bashim Yahshua. For we brought nothing into this world, and it is certain we can carry nothing out. There you go. We can't carry nothing to this world. We didn't carry nothing to this world, and we can't carry anything out. And having food and raiment, let us be content. In other words, the necessities, thing that we need, food and clothing. But they that will be, see, raiment, that's clothing. See, that's talking about them Gucci's. You're always trying to find a way to get into the materialistic possessions. Always trying to find a way, because you in the world. You ain't spiritual. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with, brothers being able to dress fly or whatever. There's nothing wrong with that. If you got it, you got it. But you ain't supposed to be walking around. You ain't supposed to be, holding those things in high esteem. Even they have a saying, man made the money, money never made the man. Not supposed to be coming to camp looking like that. You know what I'm saying? That's not what this thing is about. But they that will be rich fall into temptation and a snare. See, it's people that are rich, they fall into temptation and snares, traps, because they're valuing their wealth. They're always trying to see what they can do to get more, what they can do to maintain it, to the point when they stop valuing Yahweh Bashim Yahshua, and you worry about maintaining material things as opposed to gaining and maintaining spiritual things, and into many foolish and hurtful lusts. So they get caught up in many foolish and hurtful lusts. I'm going to use my money for this. I'm going to use my money for that. I'm going to use it for this. I'm going to use it for that. I'm going to use it for that. I'm going to use it for this. You know what I mean? Come on, man. It's ridiculous. Spending your money on stuff that you got no business spending your money on, and you squandering all your wealth. And it's hurtful lust. You know what I mean? You could be all into them gambling. That could become a hurtful lust. And now you squander all your wealth and you don't got nothing. Which drown men in destruction and perdition, see? It drown into destruction and perdition. That's destruction. You're destroyed now. Because you don't got nothing. For the love of money is the root of all evil. See, the love of money, not money, but it's the love of it. Which while some coveted after, some desired, they have erred from the faith and pierced themselves through in many sorrows. So they chasing material things, and it caused them to err from the faith. And now they all messed up. But thou, O man, the Most High, flee these things to follow after righteousness, godliness, faith, love, patience, meekness. Those are the treasures that we're storing in heaven. See? See how it went right back to Matthew 6 chapter about the treasures in heaven. Hebrews chapter 13 verse 5. Let your conversation or our way of life be without covetousness, desiring things that we ought not have. That's not ours. And be content with such things as you have. So be whole, feel complete with the things that you have. For he hath said, I will never leave thee nor forsake thee. See, it all goes back to Yahweh Bashim Yahshua. That's what we got to be content that we have. Because Yahweh Bashim Yahshua gonna give us the things that we need. And you actually got to believe that. That's when faith comes in. Luke 12:15. And he said unto them, take heed and beware of covetousness. For a man's life consisteth not in the abundance of things which he possesseth. So your life don't consist in the abundance of things you possess. It doesn't consist in these materialistic possessions on this earth. These things are going to be destroyed. Don't the scripture tell you that the elements shall melt with fervent heat? So all these things is going to melt with fervent heat when that thermonuclear destruction comes, by way of the coming Third World War, to destroy America, which is Babylon the Great. These things are going to both be destroyed, so I place such great value in it. This is a word called utilitarian. And it says, it's from Oxford Languages, designed to be useful or practical rather than attractive. So what we do out there teaching is it's designed to be youthful and practical rather than attractive. So it's not meant to look good. Like sequential garments, like Nate and them guys, sequence garments, everybody wearing the same thing. They out there looking like they in a hip hop video. They got, probably got watches on and rings and chains and trying to look good, just in case an attractive woman walk past. Cause that's why they're doing it. You know what I'm saying? That's one of the reasons why they're doing it, to look good for the girlies. That ain't what this thing is about. You know what I'm saying? That ain't what this thing is about. These teachings are designed to be useful or practical rather than attractive. In other words, when designed to be useful or practical rather than attractive. So when we out there teaching, we're not meant to be attractive. We're not meant to look good in the eyes of the people. That's not what this thing is about, man. It's the message. See, that's what them Nation of Islam type or 5% kind of dudes, see, I gotta look good because you know what I'm saying? Because that's what's gonna attract the people. See that? They see somebody looking fly, dressed like this, just like that. That's gonna attract the people. And that's gonna make them more likely to hear the image. Nah, man, you just a worldly Negro. Check this out. Jeremiah 6:26, O daughter of my people, gird thee with sackcloth. Sackcloth represents mourning, lamentation. And while thyself in ashes, make thee mourning as for an only son. Most bitter lamentation, for the spoilers shall suddenly come upon us. Right? And we've been spoiled, and we're still in now our captivity. So we out there teaching. That's how we supposed to have on our sackcloth, these garments. These represent mourning, lamentation. Don't the scriptures speak about that with the two witnesses in Revelation 11? Even John the Baptist, he wore a garment made out of camel skin to represent the lifestyle that he lived, a utilitarian lifestyle. It wasn't designed to be attractive. And he was in the desert. So he wasn't out there trying to look all good like these other camps out there. That ain't what we about. You know, but this is a brief lesson. I just want to touch on that. It was just in my mind. You know what I'm saying? So we all got to, watch ourselves and how much we value the material things that we have. Because the Most High could take that along with your life. And that's in the scripture. Scripture speak about that. A man that stored up a lot of goods in his barn, but didn't know his life was going to be taken from him that very night. I'm not going to touch on that because the video's already kind of long, but that's basically the point. Maybe I could do that in another video. So with that, I'm going to close. I'm going to say, oh, praise you. How about you, Shah? Double honesty, positive GMS. I hope you learn something. Shalom.